my role here today is really just to provide you with the light context and to do so within 15 minutes. Hopefully I touch on areas that resonate with each of you. So let's give it a try. I thought just to warm us up that I will, oh, my screen's saving, just a second. There we go. Just to warm us up, I just wanted to start with a quote by Stephen Sloman. Our beliefs are not isolated pieces of data that we can take and discard at will. Instead, beliefs are deeply intertwined with other beliefs, shared cultural values, and our identities. To discard a belief means discarding a whole host of other beliefs, forsaking our communities, going against those we trust and love, and in short, challenging our identities. According to this view, is it any wonder that providing people with a little information about GMOs, vaccines, or global warming have little impact on their beliefs and attitudes? The power that culture has over cognition just swamps these attempts at education. So what does this mean for us, our roles, and the society that we're part of? As professionals committed to the delivery of information to individuals and communities, we find ourselves up against a powerful force. We have moved into a post-truth era where objective facts are less influential in shaping public opinion. And in this era, information is positioned or framed in a way to appeal to one's emotions and personal beliefs. We're also in a world of post-truth politics where alternate or dueling facts are presented to infer different meaning on really important issues. Political scientists David Barker and Morgan Marietta have been studying the dueling facts phenomena as it relates to American politics for several years. In examining national surveys over a 5-year period, which was between 2013 and 2017, what stood out for them was the role trust plays in our understanding of evidence. In examining how people vote, they noted that voters see the world in ways that reinforce their values and identities. For example, they state that the most important predictor of whether a person views racism as highly prevalent and influential is not the party that they're associated with, it's not their general ideological outlook, it's not the amount or type of media they consume, nor is it their race. It is the degree to which they prioritize compassion as a public virtue, meaning the degree to which they prioritize putting others' interests before their own. They refer to this as intuitive epistemology. They state that values not only shape what people see, but they also structure what people will look for in the first place. Consider what you are passionate about and think about how that influences what you look for online, in your job, or in your community. Barker and Marietta state that if you care about oppression, you look for oppression and find it. If you care about security, you look for threats and find them. They found the more committed people were to their values, the more extreme or polarized they were. And those with extreme commitments to their values are so much more convinced that their perceptions are accurate. According to Barker and Marietta, there appears to be no solutions for this problem. Providing people with facts fell flat. As providers of information, this is creating a real problem, particularly for the media and academia. An Ipsos survey conducted in Canada in 2018 showed that trust in science is eroding. 44% of Canadians consider scientists elitists, and many discount science that doesn't align with their personal beliefs. Similarly, we see politicians generating a distrust of science when it fits their narrative. This example shows politicians labeling health experts and scientists lobbyists. Then there is the media. Most media fight to maintain trust, but there are some that mislead and misinform their readers or viewers by discounting credible academic and scientific sources. Yet, academia is being accused of indoctrinating ideologies and limiting discourse. In Marietta and Barker's article, they state that education provides the tools to more efficiently match one's preferred values to their perceived facts. Education was viewed as another means of encouraging what they call consensus perceptions, and they found that it can actually make things worse. They argue that the higher level of training you receive, the more tightly your values and perceptions intertwine. They state that rather than training people how to think more reasonably, institutions merely sharpen the lenses graduates use to perceive reality. In their article, they claim that those with higher education were more, not less divided. Trends in the US are important to watch in a post-truth era and with the rise of populism. In a 2017 Pew Research survey conducted in the US, the survey provided the statement, colleges and universities have a positive effect on the way things are going in the country. This was supported by 72% of Democrats, but 58% of Republicans had a negative view of the influence of higher education on American life. One of the astonishing things here is that this was a 45% increase from the previous year. Political polarization, which is also known as ideology identification, is really testing our democracies. Thomas Crothers and the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace tells us that severe polarization damages our institutions that are essential to democracy, shattering informed but crucial norms of tolerance and moderation. He sees polarization as the result of power struggles within a political elite who play up and manufacture division and poison everyday interactions and relationships. Sound familiar? This often results in the demonization of those who defend human rights. Overall, our world is becoming more divisive about the nature and severity of global problems. People see themselves as right or wrong, left or right, for and against issues. There seems to be no gray area and little to no conversation. Individuals sit at either end of the spectrum in their rightness. Extreme or polarizing views are reinforced by 24-hour access to social media and partisan news sites, and they feed information that we agree with back to us. We have seen social media form tribes around fake news and perpetuate conspiracy theories as well as confirmation bias, which means individuals are more attached to their beliefs and will search for ways to confirm the accuracy of their beliefs. Our beliefs are influenced and reinforced by those we trust. This includes political leaders or certain media, as well as family and friends. We tend to make and be friends with people who think like us, perpetuating a groupthink safety zone in our social circles. Social media has given these trusted sources a platform. The influence and power of social media on how people find, think about, and process knowledge is a growing concern. And we all fall victim to this. One example is a Facebook post shown to be written by Dr. Fauci that stated, "How dare you?" It was related to wearing masks, and it was a powerful message. And even I went to hit share when I stopped to think, hey, Dr. Fauci's never talked down to anyone. This language just doesn't seem right. A quick Google search found that the post was written by someone else a few months earlier. And somewhere along the line, it was attributed to Dr. Fauci. Since then, I have received the same Facebook post in my newsfeed from educators, executives, and other credible people I know. They shared it because it was sent to them from someone they trust. In fact, when I corrected my friend, who happens to be a teacher, she was exasperated, and she said she's leaving it up anyways because it makes the point. This misinforms the reader, but strongly solidifies messages around her values. When messages are confusing, it leads us to search for answers from those we trust. Or, like the Fauci speech, from sources that will align with our situation or moral foundation. Technology, including social media, has become our playground. It's been our entertainment, our source for news. We have constructed meaning, formed beliefs, and created narratives based on what we have seen on social media. But is there more to it than that? Tristan Harris is the founder of the Center for Humane Technology. The Center for Humane Technology works to bring awareness and understanding around what's called the attention extraction economy. And that is the business model that's used by social media platforms to make money from human emotions and behaviors. According to the center, social media has created a race for human attention. Tech companies make billions of dollars sharing information that shapes human behavior and emotion. Our emotions are what keep us engaged. Since the pandemic began, there's been a significant increase in fake news and misinformation shared on social media, and fake news spreads 6 times faster than true news. Researchers have determined that people will naturally repost messages based on popularity rather than accuracy. And the main reason a post is shared is because it comes from someone we want to be associated with, such as a friend or celebrity, like Dr. Fauci. Researchers also found that anger is the emotion that travels fastest and farthest on social media, and those posting angry messages inevitably have the greatest influence. And we've witnessed that in the last 24 hours. Just like a tree is worth more as lumber and a whale is worth more dead than alive, in the attention extraction economy, a human is worth more when we are depressed, outraged, polarized, and addicted. We know social media companies are feeding people information that supports their point of view, their narrative, regardless of its value and truth. And it validates their understanding of the world. It's been a transfer mechanism for conspiracy theories. And according to their website, the center's website, 2 minutes of exposure to a conspiracy theory video reduces one's pro-social attitude and their belief in scientific fact. Why are people drawn to conspiracy theories? I recently came across an article in Scientific American by Melinda Wenner from March 2019. She stated that people who are drawn to conspiracy theories share a cluster of psychological features that include feeling alienated or unwanted, anxious, or feeling like there's been a collective social setback. And when anxiety and that feeling that society is in jeopardy are combined, there's an overwhelming sense that life is out of control. Dr. Noam Schwanzer is a professor of psychology at Otterbein College and a practicing clinical psychologist at the Center for Cognitive Behavioral Psychology. He specializes in the treatment of anxiety disorders. He outlines 4 factors related to conspiracy theories. The first is fundamental attribution errors, and this is when we see something happening and assume it was intentional, rather than happening by circumstance or chance. The second one is confirmation bias. Remember, we look for information that best fits our belief. Well, it has a partner, belief perseverance, and this refers to the fact that we continue to maintain our belief even after we have been presented evidence to the contrary. A third factor is to be uniquely knowledgeable. As humans, we want to know things others don't, and there is a feeling of power that comes from knowing. He states believers in conspiracy theories see themselves in a select group that has figured it out. And the fourth factor is related to the way our brains process information. We tend to fill in the blanks as humans. We find patterns and we make meaning based on our past experience and knowledge. And when there is no pattern, our brain invents one, which is particularly evident in times of stress. As humans, we seek order, and when there is chaos or uncertainty, there is that feeling I just mentioned of being out of control. When this happens, we're motivated to make sense of the world in whatever way we can. Conspiracy theorists will use all sorts of propaganda to get their message across. In Wales, we see an increase in printed material being delivered to households. These flyers demonstrate the extent to which people are willing to go to have their voice heard. Time, as well as financial and human resources, were required to get these in everyone's mailboxes. Social media has provided a platform where people can easily share misinformation with those who think in a similar way as them. This has caused irreparable harm to relationships. Friendships are lost, families have been torn apart. About a month or so ago, I came across a Facebook post from a university professor who stated that he'll block anyone who shares conspiracy theories. And one of the comments under his thread was as follows. Yeah, I recently had to take this step with 2 friends after they launched nasty conspiracy theory-laden ad hominem attacks on the evidence-based positions I was putting forward. One is an anti-vaxxer, the other was espousing QAnon nonsense. I also had another friend block me because of the evidence-based positions I was putting forward. Parting ways with longtime friends isn't something I really want to do, but the evidence shows that trying to engage with such views just acts to reinforce them. Not to mention being emotionally draining, which limits the available options. But technology is not all bad. We use it to conquer hate. It's helped us be educated, have meetings, stay connected, unite across causes, learn, graduate, and have conversations such as this. We use it to create positive networks to help solve some of the significant issues we are currently faced with today. According to the United Nations, it's kept businesses open, people employed, provided access to information on health and essential goods and services, and it's critical in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. Technology is seen as a way to lift people out of poverty, support research and innovation, and helps with emergency response data and decision making. And researchers have utilized it to counter misinformation. So let's quickly sum things up. We are becoming increasingly polarized, which threatens institutions and democracy and how we address challenges. Our values are influencing our attention and interest in particular issues. When we don't know what is right, we look to those we trust, and we are friends with people who think like us. Trust in our politicians and the media has deteriorated. Academia is being questioned and accused of supporting a particular ideology. Our belief in science is waning. Confirmation bias and belief perseverance means that individuals will not change their beliefs or ways of thinking easily, even with good evidence. Just providing them with information won't be effective. Part of what is polarizing us is the misinformation and conspiracy theories that are being communicated over social media and other media, because false news travels 6 times faster than news that is true. We are experiencing increased isolation and anxiety, especially under COVID-19. And when people are anxious and feel their world is in jeopardy, they feel like things are out of control. And they will try to make sense of the world in any way they can. Their views are confirmed by being part of a network of believers, those who have figured it all out. Technology has contributed to the transfer of misinformation, but it's necessary and helpful in bringing us together. And we see it as a necessity to address issues in communities nationally and globally. Social media's business model profits off our emotions and behaviors, yet we need it to stay connected and informed. So I ask again, what does this mean for us, our roles, and the society we are part of?